How's everybody doing this morning? Yeah, very much so. You look thrilled. Well, you're gonna be thrilled because this morning is probably one of the most exciting topics of this whole series that we're doing, and that is what's the answer for everything? Church Center, right? So we're gonna go through Church Center this morning. For some of you that are a little bit more technologically challenged, this may be some new stuff for you. Others that aren't, you may have already dug through the app and know everything about it. I know we've been messing with it for a couple of years now, and then Chris comes along and he's like, "Oh yeah, you don't know how to do that," and he like gets in like the deepest part of the settings and like stuff that I had no idea even existed. So he might be spouting off some stuff as I'm talking. He's like, no, you don't do that. And that's fine. Do what? Yeah, let me see. So we're going to go through Church Center. Really, the point is everything at Crossroads revolves around Church Center, whether it's communication, whether it's signing up and registering for things, whether it's giving, whether it's scheduling for ministry teams. Everything revolves around Church Center, Planning Center. I'm not going to get into all that. It's kind of confusing, but there are different areas and everything falls under Planning Center. But Church Center is the forward-facing part of it that everybody interacts with and sees. So we're going to go through it just so we can kind of help fill some of the knowledge gap for some people. If you guys are struggling with, like, I don't know what to do with this, I don't know how to communicate this, I don't know what to do here. So we're just going to start from zero and go through as much of it as we can, okay? So first of all, if you do not have Church Center, you're going to want to download it. Hold on, sorry, I forgot to pull something up. And once you download it, it should open a screen somewhat like the one up here. And it wants you to find your church. Now you can search by name or by location, but you'll want to click on Crossroads Church. It'll pull it up. It'll pull up the address, the website, and you would say, "This is my church." And then it's going to ask for your mobile number. And this is going to connect you. I can't talk and think of my phone number at the same time, sorry. This is going to connect you. If we have you in our database, this number is connected to you. So when you type it in and you log in, it's going to send you a code. I know this is the exciting part, guys. Yeah. There we go. And then it'll send you the code. You'll log in. And then it'll open up Church Center. So we're going to kind of go through each section just so I can show you what everything does. So once you sign in, you're going to have several different tabs here. Let's start with your profile and stuff here. So you can see my name, mostly if it's not washed out by all the light. If you click on the arrow to the right, it'll open up your profile, and then it has all of your profile settings. So if you're wanting to change, if you guys move, or your phone number changes, or your address, or something in your profile, your family changes, you can go in there and change your contact information, add your address, and all of that stuff. There are a few things you're not allowed to change. Because of the settings in Church Center. But if you want to add medical notes for your kids, if you want to add your birthday and all that, you can update all of that in that section. And then down below that is households. This is going to be information for your family. So like if I need to change something on Noah's profile, I can click on that and I can change that information there. Yeah. Oh. You can find it in Church Center. Now I just got to find Church Center. This is not my iPad. Oh, hi there. Oh, hold on. Now I got to figure out how to do this. Because you are in our database, that phone number is connected to you. I know it's creepy, but it's because you've given us information and your profile is attached to that number. Well, yeah, maybe you haven't, but somebody has apparently. Profile. Light. Yay. You're welcome. Is that better? Nice. Yeah, that's all you get. Okay? That's all you get. And then directory profile this is where you get to choose what you share in the database. So there's a part where there's a database where so like Alex just asked me earlier. I asked him if he was going to the Super Bowl party at the Holtz, and he said, I'm going to need an address. And I said, the address is Church Center. So he can go into Church Center, find the Holtz, and look up their address from there. Okay? But only if the Holtz have gone into their settings here and they have allowed their address to be viewed in Church Center, or their phone number, their email address. Those things aren't necessarily default. So if you've not gone into the settings, you might want to go into that directory profile and check what you have selected. And the same thing with your family. So that you can choose what people can find in the directory and what they can't, okay? So if you're a little bit more secretive about like where you live, that's fine. You can unselect that if you don't want people to see that, or your phone number. But it does make it a little harder for people to be able to contact you if they need to. Or if you invite them over, you're going to have to send them your address. But I don't know. So if you go to household, and I don't know if you can do it or if Damon has to do it. I don't really know. Yeah, so we have to set somebody as head of household, or it does it by default. And then head of household has to edit those things. And again, you go to your household underneath your profile settings. You click on whichever child's name, and you can update all the information there. But again, there are a few things like their name, their birth date, and their grade that you can't change on here. You'd have to contact us to change those things. Because those things are connected to certain things in the database that if those change, it can like throw it out of whack, what groups they're automatically put in, how they're checked in. It can mess with a lot of different things. So those are some things that we don't like to change, like just have people be able to change. Does that make sense? All right, so there are some other settings. I'm not going to go into detail on everything. I really just want to hit some of the most important things. If you have any questions about anything, like you're confused, you can't find something, you can't figure out how to change something, just ask me or Daryl or Chris. Chris knows more than anybody. Just ask, and we'll find the answer for you, okay? So let's look at this home screen real quick. When you go to the Me tab, sorry, not the home screen, the Me tab, it's going to have anything you're scheduled for. So I am pretty much in almost every group in the church. So it shows up, all these things show up that I like. Kids worship makers, I'm obviously not in that today. But since I'm in the group, it shows up on my calendar. So yours is probably going to be a lot shorter than mine is. But anything you're scheduled for, anything you're registered for, anything that there is, if you're in a group, that there is an upcoming meeting, like if you have one of your missional communities that are meeting, and they have scheduled meeting times in Planning Center, it'll show up on your calendar. So if you ever want to look and say, what do I have coming up? Church-wise, for the most part, you should be able to find all of those things that you're part of in this My Schedule section. Yeah. Is it just crashed? Yeah. Gosh. You know, they have a habit. It seems like every time Church Center or Planning Center like crashes, it's on a Sunday morning when you need it. Yeah, they're like, too much Church Center. All right, well, I'm going to keep going, and hopefully it keeps working for me. And then, again, activity involvement. It shows all the groups I'm in. You can see that there are a lot of them. But then you can look at my giving. So you can look in and see if you want like a giving statement, you can get in there and look at a giving statement of everything that you've given in the past year. If you want to set up giving, you can go through and look at that. You can, and then there's another way to do that further on down here. And then registration history, like if you're wanting to look at an event you've already registered for, you can do that. So I've got past ones that this event is done, but then I have a couple others that I've registered for that haven't, like the date hasn't come yet. So like Church Camp of the Rockies, if you haven't signed up for that, sign up for that. It's going to be a blast. It's going to be a lot of fun. That's my plug. And then Winter Jam. So I can go in and I can look at my registration, possibly. And I can see who I registered. So if you forget, like, hey, did I register my kids for this? I can't remember. You can go into my registration history, open it up, and you can look and see who you've registered for that event. And then Church Camp of the Rockies, like if you want to go and look at a balance, you can open that up. And you can figure out, okay, I've paid a deposit, but how much do I owe? That information is going to be in your registrations, okay? And then, are there any questions on that page, the Me tab? Anything you're seeing that I missed? Okay, so the upper right-hand corner, real quick, there's a little bell. If you click that, it's going to have all of your notifications that come through Church Center. So if you're part of a group, if you're part of a ministry team, or if you have, if you're signed up for the announcements, this is where everything is going to come through. So you can look at any messages that have been sent out. You can look. If people are looking for replacements for kids ministry, this is where it's going to be. And then you can look at all the previous. So if you're looking at it and you said, okay, I saw something come through earlier, I can't remember where it's at, you go down to the previous and you can find, if they've named it well, it'll be easy enough to find. So if somebody was asking for, hey, I need somebody to cover for nursery this Sunday, you can go back and find that message and respond as you need to. All right, so then let's go to the home page. The home page is going to be kind of the church hub of everything, okay? So if you go down to important links, is where you're going to have all of the important stuff. If you're looking for information, it's probably going to be in one of these links, okay? So whether it's the Over the Hump, C2 Essentials, the link, we have updates on our global partners, Kidsmen resources. So if teachers are sending out resources for Kidsmen, that's where you're going to find them. If you're wanting to go back and listen to a sermon on a Sunday, we've got the YouTube link there. Any vlogs or announcements, those are all attached to certain links that to make it easier for you to find the information you want to find, or go back and listen to something. You can submit prayer requests there. You can fill out communication cards. If you're newer and you decide you want to start serving, you can fill out I want to serve in the body connection card. Early childhood, if you want to participate in discipleship, or if you have an event coming up that you want to use the building for a birthday party or something, you could do it through there as well. And then we just have links to all of our social stuff there, and then contact information for pastors and elders in the church, and then information time, stuff like that. So it's a pretty simple page. Most of what you're going to need if you're looking for information is going to be found in there. Okay. Any questions on that page? Cool. Moving along. Let's go to groups. So in groups, you're going to find a section that has My Groups. Again, yours is going to be way smaller than mine. But if you go all the way to the bottom, oh, what in the world happened there? We don't have any groups available to browse yet. That's not true. Yeah, maybe it's like you're in all the groups, so you don't need to be any more groups. Let me see what my phone's doing. It never cooperates when you need it to. Yeah, it's freaking out because there's too many. Is it? That means believe that means there's a message in that group. So you can open that group. So say Crossroads Student Ministries. Let's see if it'll work. So there isn't any messages, but if you open that group, you have a few options there. So messages, if there are any messages that have been sent in that group, they will be listed there, just like if you were to hit the bell, but this is for this specific group. Okay. Any events that are happening for your group are going to be in there. So we're having youth every Sunday until Jesus comes back. And then any resources. I don't believe I've uploaded any. Not that it'll load. But like for midweek, as an example, we upload a lot of resources. So if you would rather have a digital copy of the topic we're going through instead of a printed copy, you can go to resources in midweek, click the resource, and it'll open it up on your device. So we can upload all kinds of resources in there so that you can go in and access those through that specific group. And then you can look at all the members that are in that group as well. And you can also contact people from that. So like if I need to get a hold of Alicia, I can find her phone number in that group instead of going to the directory. And then let's see if this is going to work now. No. Yeah, it seems like it's working okay. It's just not giving me options. Let me see if my phone's any better. Yeah, my phone's allowing me to do it. Let's see now. There we go. All right, so at the bottom is where you can find different groups, okay? So if you're not in a group or you're looking for a group to join, this is where you can find that information. So there are 4 different options. The first one is missional communities or groups. So these are going to be our small groups. If you click on those, it'll pull up all groups that are currently available. So like if you're a student and you want to join the CSM group, you can go in and find all the information about it, the time, the place, when we meet, who the leaders are, and then any upcoming events. Okay. Now, the CSM is a closed group, so you can't just join it. So I can view the group, and then I can request to join a group, and then that group leader will either contact you or they'll add you to the group, just depending on what circumstances it is. Some groups are just open. So like the men's Monday night group. John's group is an open group. You can just go in and click join, and it'll add you to that group. So you'll start seeing all the messages. You'll be able to see all the scheduled stuff and everything that goes on in that group. With that, you can filter. So if you want to look at a certain stage of life, young adults, middle school, high school, what city they meet in. There's not a whole lot of choices because a lot of our groups are not necessarily super specific, right? So like the ladies group on Tuesday night, men's group on Tuesday night, it's very diverse in age group. So it's not necessarily something you're going to look up, and find something very specific. So some of them are kind of specific, but for the most part, we don't have so many you need to filter them. You can usually just look through them and find what you want to find. And then the next tab on Find a Group is the Ecclesia. So anytime we send out information about like a next round of our classes on 9:30, which we're starting in 2 weeks, you can go in here and you can find those classes, and you can sign up for those classes. Okay. Now, why that's important, why we want people to go in and sign up, is because we need to determine how many people are in each class, so we know where to put the class, depending on the size. So right now we've got Be the Church. You can select that, view the group, and then you can request to join it or join it if it's open. And again, it's got a description of what the class is. And then obviously it's at 9:30, and you can look at who the leader is of that class, and you can decide which one sounds interesting up in Church Center, which class you want to join. Ministry teams. If you're wanting to get involved in ministry teams and you want to kind of see what's out there, you can look at ministry teams and figure out what's out there. You can select those. Again, it gives you some information who the leaders of those teams are, so you can contact them. So if you're looking at specific ministry teams and you want to join those, you can look through ministry teams. Then the communication groups, these are more like they're more specific to groups. So we have alerts and reminders, which is going to be anytime the church sends out a reminder or an announcement, it's going to be an alerts and reminders. And then we have leaders of the pack, midweek. So these are just different groups. The rents, so if I want to communicate to parents that have students and youth, I'm going to do it through rents. So these are more specific to different ministry teams or groups of people that communicate in the church. Any questions about the groups tab? Anything that sounded confusing? All right, so let's go to the giving tab. So the giving tab is where you can easily, it's the easiest way to give. Now you can do it one time. So like say you want to give $5, you can set it up. to be a one-time or reoccurring, whether it reoccurs weekly, every other week, monthly, twice monthly. So you can set up your reoccurring giving if that's how you decide to give. You can do that in Church Center. Or if you want to just do a one-time gift, you can do that through Church Center. But you can choose the fund as well. So if you want it to just go into the general fund, you can select that. Or if you have specific, whether it's Refuge KC, missions, building, benevolence, whatever it is. So if we have a need that comes up and we ask, hey, we have this family, that we have this need, and we're looking people to help meet the need, please give your money in benevolence so that we can then allocate that money where it needs to go. So you can get in the app and you can click benevolence, give however much you want to give, and go from there. Does that make sense? And then you can set up your payment method so it's in there. So anytime you want to give, you can just give freely. And then there is a little checkbox to cover. There is a processing fee when you do it through the app. So you can check that, and then it'll add the processing fee to what you're giving, just so it's covered. Does that make sense? Any questions?
Just so you're aware, there's been a couple different ways I've given.
Mm-hmm.
So be aware of that fee, because some of them you get $3.50.
Yeah.
30 cents like you saw on there. So make sure you check that, or make sure you look at that and check before you give.
So if you do like an auto bank or a guarantee, which is what we recommend,
Right.
put your bank account information in, it's a flat 30-cent fee. And you can check the box if you're going to cover that fee. But if you use any form of a debit card or credit card, it is a fee plus a percentage. And so that's where it's going to be a percentage of what you give, as opposed to the 30 cents processing. But anytime you give online, unless you give it by cash or check or bucket, there's going to be a processing fee.
Right.
But the cheapest is the 30 cents.
Any questions? All right. So then we'll go to the More tab. So on here, we've got signups. Signups is going to be, again, if we have any events, breakfasts. We have a breakfast coming up. And I did not sign us up on purpose, so I can show you how to go through the registration. So we have this breakfast coming up. It gives you dates, times, what's going on. Click the register button. Let's go back real quick. So you go to More, and then Signups. And then you can see all the events that we have available to sign up for. So the breakfast, you open that up, you hit register. And then you select how many are going to be attending. So for us, that'll be 3. Hit next. And then you will select the 3 people that are going to be attending. And then you go through, me, Kristen, Noah, and register. And then it'll go through and it asks for information. It auto-populates it, so if you need to change anything, you can. And it does it for each person. All right, and then you are registered for the breakfast. Now, this process could look a little different depending on what you're registering for. If I were to go in and register for, say, a camp or like Colorado, it's going to ask for a lot more information because you're going to have to select lodging, you're going to have to select how many meals, you're going to have to select. There's a lot more information. Now, whoever's creating that event can set what information they need and don't. So it's not always going to look the same. But most things are going to be simple, like the breakfast. So any events that we have coming up, it's going to be in signups. Okay? Any questions? Make sense? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, see, mine says view registrations now. Yeah. Yeah, it might just take you to view registrations. But again, if you want to check up and say, hey, I may have forgotten somebody, you can click on it. It'll bring up everybody that you've registered, so you can double check it. And then if you need any help, if something doesn't, or you forget to register somebody, or you can't figure out something, there is a little link down there that you can contact Jenny if you have any questions, and she can kind of help fix things or walk you through it. Okay. All right. Any other questions on that, on signups? All right. Church directory. It's pretty straightforward. We've got a list of anybody that's allowed their information to be in the directory. So say you're looking for our information. You can click on a person, and it'll show any information that they've allowed. So I put my birthday in there, so when you look me up, you know when to buy me a present. Huh? You know, I don't know. I don't see a way to do that here. Well, maybe there is. Yep, there it is. So you can click. It's this little at the end of the search bar. There's a little arrow. I don't know that you can see that very well, can you? No, it's light. So the little person over on the right-hand side, just to the left of it, there's an arrow and an AZ. If you click that, you can choose first name, last name. And then you can search individual people. So that person I have selected I'm looking up individual people, or I can click the little house, and it'll look up a household. So if for some reason you're wanting to look up an entire household, you can do that, and it'll show everybody's information in that household. Does that make sense?
By the way, all the pictures that you see are uploaded by the individuals. So as you can see here, Daniel and Kristen and Noah have uploaded pictures of themselves, but they have not done a household.
Yeah.
So that's why you get the little design there.
Yeah. I had a picture I was going to add, but I decided not to. So. Yeah. It's good to know. So yeah, you can see like the Bergens have a family photo for theirs. So you can add that stuff. Any other questions on the directory? Great. All right. The calendar. It is what it says it is. I mean, if you're looking for any events, what's coming up in the future, you can look at the calendar. So like breakfast with the Ecclesia on February 19th, you can select that from the calendar, and then it opens up that group. You can register for it from the calendar if you don't want to necessarily go through all the group stuff. But then you can see what's going on around the church or in groups throughout the week and upcoming months. So if you're kind of new and you're kind of trying to figure out what in the world's going on here, or if you're just trying to like keep in touch with what the church is doing, the calendar is a great way to look and see what's going on, and then be able to sign up from stuff from there. All right, now this is one that I don't know gets used very often. Now, it's called check-ins. So what you can do, and it's actually really helpful, and we want to encourage people, especially if you have kids, to use check-ins. What it is, it's a system that you can pre-check in before you arrive. So whoever's in the passenger seat, please don't do it while you drive. You can pull up your phone, pull up Church Center, go to check-ins, and you can check in your family before you even get here. And then when you do, it's going to send you a code. And then when you show up to church, instead of putting in your phone number and checking in your family, you pull up the code. There's an option for the code on the check-in station, and then you just scan on the camera the code, and it prints off your stuff, and you're checked in. So it makes the process a little easier. So if you have kids and you can pre-check in, you walk in, you hit the scan button on the screen of the check-in station, scan the code, and you're good to go. Yes, if you don't have kids, please still check in. Now we have another check-in station closer this way that you can use, because it does get a little congested over there with families checking in kids. But we do want everybody to check in on a Sunday morning. And the reason being is it's a good way for us to be able to look through and see who is here, who hasn't been here. Because if I go to Ted's profile, I can look at his activity. I can see when he's checked in and when he hasn't. So as elders, it's good for us to be able to look and say, hey, I don't think I've seen Ted in a while. Let me look and see kind of if he's been here, when he hasn't been, and that way I can check in with him and say, hey, where you been? We missed seeing you. Or we can say, dude, get it together. Right, yeah, it'll close at a specific time. Yeah, no, right,
So the only check-in on Sunday morning is for the 10:30 service.
right, yeah, yeah,
When I went to the back and I was walking across back and forth the back, I was taking attendance for 9:30. So we take attendance for some things, but we only check in for the 10:30.
right. So, and we set those times, because we can set specific times where that check-in will start and when it'll end, and we set those with latecomers in mind. Like if you show up a little bit late, it's probably still active. But like if I show up at 7 a.m. like we usually do on a Sunday morning, that event may not be active yet. So like I can't go in and check in because it hasn't started yet. Does that make sense? So we set those times accordingly for each event. Mm-hmm. Because you don't have kids. Yeah. Right. Right. Because the barcode is to scan so that it'll print the stickers for the kids. If you check in if you don't have kids or your kids aren't here for whatever reason that week, and you check in on the way in, you're good to go. So that helps. One, you don't have to worry about finding a check-in station. You don't have to worry about clogging it up, like checking in. If you don't have kids, just pre-check in and you're good to go. And it'll kind of help with some congestion out there as well. So yeah, checking in to our 10:30 is important. We like to see that. It kind of helps us out as elders and pastors being able to see that stuff. So yeah.
I'm pretty sure I saw Ted. What was that, last Sunday? Was that yesterday?
Yeah.
There's a lot of those kind of conversations that happen.
Yeah. No, you're good. You're good. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we set it up so when people come in for 9:30, you can check in, but it checks you in for 10:30. Yeah. 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 Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No, you don't check in. And unfortunately, so the app it's free to us because of all the other, it's a free feature for all the other things that we pay for. But in order to put our sermons in the app, we would have
Yeah, so if you're at home and you want to get on the app and because you're wanting to watch like the live stream, you can go to the home page and click Sunday Sermons YouTube. Now it'll take you to the list, but if you go right there's a live of what we're doing right now. So you can go on, click it and watch it. So you can access that through Church Center as well. Or if you have a YouTube app, you can open up the app, and if you follow the church's YouTube, it'll give you a notification that we went live. That may be easier for you, but you can access it through the app. All right. I think that's everything. I think. Are there any questions? Anything that's super confusing? Anything that's not working for you the way you think it should? Great. Must have done a good job.
Let me just follow up what Daniel said with this, because someone may to respond. If someone sends you a text to just you, or if they send a text to a group of 10 people. We're more apt to respond if it's to just us, if it's between me and one other person. Every person you add, we have a tendency to go, I don't want to answer in a group message. I may say something stupid. I may do blah, 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 blah. And so we all prefer one-on-one communication. But with 300 people in the church, we just can't do that. So Church Center is the tool we've used to get information out. And as Daniel showed you on the homepage, we have tried to make every link as clear as possible. Anything you might need should be on that homepage, and then be able to go from there as far as groups, giving, calendar, all those kinds of things. But that's why we've taken the time to do it, because we hear so many people say, I don't understand it, I hate Church Center, I don't look at Church Center, and that's okay. It's just, it is the tool we use for communication. The one and only.
All right. Well, that's time. If you have any questions about anything at any point, please just come and ask, and we will do our best to answer it. All right. Thank you.